What's good, family? Well, we're having some breaking news about Tory Lanez. We know just the other day he was stabbed and was in critical condition at the hospital, being stabbed 14 times. Coming to find out, he was stabbed by some fellow inmates. Claimed to be, a group of Hispanic descent inmates. They don't know what the motive was or anything that coming from that. But in today's news, the attorney for Tory Lanez has sent in some new evidence of the bodyguard of Kelsey Harris, who was, with Meg and Tory on the night of her shooting. And that bodyguard has said that in his public statement that he's never signed an NDA. He never signed any agreement. Just had always kept what happened that night to himself. But, after recent events and seeing that some of the things that's happened to Tory, he can't stay silent anymore, which, he's saying that on the night of the shooting that Kelsey was the one who shot Megan. His statement was he shot the gun 3 times. By the third time, Tory had hit the gun out of her hand to stop it, and then once it hit the ground, it fired twice more. But he said Kelsey was definitely the shooter and not Tory Lanez. So this evidence will be added to the courts, and hopefully, getting another hearing and getting more information to possibly get him out. With the case, it was a lot of evidence on the case. I remember during the case, it was found that he didn't have any gun residue on him. His fingerprints wasn't on the gun. So there's a lot of evidence that really didn't sort of paint him as the shooter. Even, his bodyguard at the time was not allowed to testify. And also another witness from a nearby apartment who's claimed to have seen what happened wasn't able to testify in the trial, but he was still sentenced to, I believe, 20 plus years in prison with that sentencing of the shooting. So, we'll definitely keep an eye out and see what this new evidence holds. There's been a lot of kind of support for Tory during today with the new breaking news, and especially this being broken about the bodyguard coming out saying that, from his accounts of what actually happened, this was a different bodyguard who was here, who had not spoke on the record before, saying he's willing to testify, and he hasn't signed any NDA that excludes him from testifying. But, as you remember, when Kelsey took the stand, one of her lawyer's agreements, what they asked for was that she could not be charged for this in the future, and the DA approved it. So they cannot charge her for anything or the shooting or anything. And when she went up there, all she did was plead the fifth on 4 of the 5 questions that they asked. And one of the questions was, do you know who shot Megan? And she pleaded the fifth. So there's a lot of stuff that was painted on the wall, but Meg was, in her statement, she was clear that Tory was the one who shot her. A lot of that has been in recent months or even last year. A lot of that was disputed, saying that it doesn't make sense that he would shoot her, and the evidence didn't point that way. But big momentum in the case for Tory and his team, and like I said, whichever is the truth, we're just sending our best wishes to Tory, who was in critical condition. I have heard that, he's still stable, but, he still is in the hospital recovering from those 14 stab wounds that he did have. So any information, we'll get it to you. Any updates, like always, comment, and what y'all think about that?